To create browser push notification in Laravel, we'll be making use of this package called web push. Alright, so I have a fresh Laravel project installed. So the stack is just Laravel with Breeze and Inertia, so with React. Okay, so kindly follow along. So the first thing we'll be doing is to install the package. So okay, let me come over here, copy this, and then install the package. Now, after installing the package, we need to publish the migration. Okay, so come here, publish the migration file. Okay, that has been done. After you publish the migration, you publish the config file as well. Okay, that has been done. So right now I'm using SQLite for the database. So let's check my env. Okay, database, where are you? Okay, yeah, SQLite. So which means that in database folder, yes, database.sqlite will be created. Now after this, let me change this to browser push, because that is the name of the folder. And the reason why this name is important to me now is because I am using Laravel head. For those of us who are not using Laravel head, of course yours will be either localhost 8000 or whatever port you use to serve the application, but I'm using Laravel head. So yeah, every folder you create in Laravel head, the URL will be the name of the folder, then .test. Okay, now we've published the migration and then we've published the config file. So the next thing we'll need to run, let's check the package. What does it say? Okay, we need to run the migration. Okay, so of course in Laravel, running the migration is php migrate. Okay, so which is the same as the alias I've done for mine. So which is, yeah, the migration. This is the migration of the package push subscription. If you are interested in how I created the alias for my terminal, where I use PAM instead of php migrate, kindly check my previous video, which I will be linking in the description below. Alright, and check that video on how you can create an alias for your terminal. Okay, what does the package say again? Alright, we generate the vapid keys using this command, php web push, then colon vapid. Alright, let's do that. Okay, so these are the things you need to do when you install the package. So let me just go through the step again. You install the package. After installing the package, of course, just follow the instruction that you have in the README file of the package. So you first of all install the package. You publish the migration. After it has been published, then you run the migration. After that has been done, you then publish the config file as well. After publishing the config file, the last step is to generate the vapid keys, and they've created a command for you already, an artisan command. So just run it, php artisan vapid. So now, but most importantly, make sure that you have this extension OpenSSL enabled. Okay, yes. Okay, so now we have the package installed, and yeah, we'll come back to this later on, but let's go into the project. Let me try to serve the project now. Call it browser push tests. Oh, okay, before I do this, I need to serve the application. Now this is a Laravel and a React application, of course, with inertia. Okay, so npm run dev, okay, which will serve our application as well as start up the server for us. Okay, so the application has been started. Let's check it out. What do we have here? Okay, this is our fresh new Laravel 13 project, of course. Now, so what I need to do right now, let me just, create an account. Okay, because I want to send this push notification to someone who is authenticated. So let me just create an account. All right, let me just say Kazim. Say Kaz at tests.com. Okay, now let's click on register. All right, okay, this is where I will be working on. All right, so in order to do the browser push. Okay, now after this, for browser push, we need a file called the service worker. So the service worker is what initiates, is what stays on the user's browser. So it's always, even though if the tab is closed, it still stays in the user's browser, so that when there's a notification, it can pop the notification up on the user's browser. So we need to create the service worker file. So we go into the public folder and we create a file. We create the service worker file. It's a JavaScript file, so I'm going to name it SW, short form of service worker. Okay, so JavaScript SW. Okay, now for the service worker file, say self dot add event listener. Okay, self add event listener. All right, and we call this push. Now function event. All right, now let's create a variable notification. Let's initialize it to be an empty object. Now let's try to get the notification from the event. Events.data JSON. Yeah. Otherwise, okay. Notification. You know what? Okay. So Notification not retrieved. Okay, just now. Okay. So now say event dot wait until. Okay. Now that wait until. Let's close it. Now inside it, we then have a self, then registration dot show notification. Let me see. Hope there is no typo. Yes, there is. Let me see. Show notification. Alright, I was expecting the color to change. Alright, now inside of it, we then have the title of the notification. Okay. Then it will then take an object. So inside of that there is body. So that's the body of the notification. Alright. Then the next will be the icon. So when the notification pops up on the bottom right of your laptop, so if you wanted to have an icon, so this, you declare the icon you want to put there. Icon, badge, in fact, you know what, just to be on the safe side of things, notification body, and let's say the events, the data, I said the text. Okay, if it doesn't find anything, then it equates the body to an empty body. Alright, okay, so now I'm trying to what's it called, formulate the body of the notification or the content of the notification. So I don't need badge, so let me say data. Now this data will take a URL, then notification.url, and of course actions. So this is optional though, so if you have extra actions you want to take, so you pass to it. Now okay, so the event listener to push the notification to the user, this is where you declare it. So the next thing we'll do now is to add another event listener for when the user interacts with the notification. So what happens when when the notification pops up on the bottom right, okay, and then the user decides to click on it, so what happens is where we declare on this second event listener. So let's call this notification click. All right, notification click, and then we declare the function. Now in there we then have already received the event, so event notification. So we close it first, because when they click on it means that they've interacted with it, right? So what will happen, well, first of all we close it, then we redirect them, we take them to the URL. So we get the URL from the event, so event notification dot data, then from the data we get the URL. Okay, so in case it's not there, we just take them to the root. All right, now we then say event dot wait until. All right, now in there, then say self now. So what we need to do is this next one is to check the tabs that we have in case the window is already open. So what it will do is it will focus on that window. All right, so if the window is already opened, it will focus on it, but if it is not opened already, it would create a new tab and then open it, the URL we've declared in the notification. So that's what we want to do here now. So we say self client, then match all. Now, so match all, and we say the type is window. Okay, is window. Then include uncontrolled, call it true. Okay, so match all. So we then have a callback. Let's call it client list. Now we go across each of the tabs. Okay, client list. All right, so if clients.url equal to, of course, the URL we've declared. Or we don't. Do I call this URL, or let me call it notification URL, just for clarity. Yeah, notification URL, and focus and client. All right, so return, what am I typing? Return client dot focus. Okay, now, but in case the browser is not, that tab is not opened before, we then take the user to the tab. So we say client dot open window, then say notification URL. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, so this is the event listener that handles when the notification is clicked upon. All right, and this is the one that handles when a new notification is being pushed to the users. All right, so the service worker is done. Okay, it's done. Make sure it is in the root of the public folder. All right, in the root of the public folder, so sw.js. Now, the next thing I want to do now, I'm signed in here. All right, so in order for push notification to work on browsers, so the user needs to give permission. All right, in order to receive notification, and it is best to trigger that request for the permission, yeah, by a button click. All right, you could as well do it like as the page loads, but it is best to attach that on a button click, meaning that explicitly click on a button to enable notification, which then triggers the request. All right, so let's go through that now. So after this, you are logged in. I want to have the button underneath the you are logged in. All right. JS pages dashboard. Okay. So now this is the right. So after you are, I want to have the button underneath. So let's go. Let me just do this. Name it enable notifications. Let me even see how it looks like. Okay, we have our button there. So let's add some styling. So for the sake of this tutorial, I won't be focusing on aesthetics at all, because the purpose of this is, we'll be focusing on functionality, not aesthetics. All right, so pardon me how I style certain button or certain things. Okay, so let's add some styling. So let me call this a button. No. String. Then the next thing I need to do, let's add some classes. So all right, let me add a background. So let me say BG neutral. Let's see, how dark do I want it? Let me just make it a black button. Okay. If the button is black, I'm sure the text will not be visible unless I make it visible. Yeah. So let's make it text white. All right. Now what do we have? Yeah, we need some paddings and most likely some margins as well. So let's go. Of course, let's give it padding of 3. Then let's save it and see. Okay. I don't want it to touch this left, so let me just give it some margins. Let's say ML5. Okay. ML5. Let's give some space to the bottom as well. Let me just say MB5. All right. So our button is here, but then now it won't do anything. All right. So we need to add the on-click functionality to it. Now for the on-click functionality, we need to add the function. So I'm going to call it handle. Just for the sake of naming, handle button click. All right, handle button click. So let's go inside and declare the function. So I'm going to have handle button click. So what should happen when the button is clicked is what we need to work on now. Let's say if, okay, we need to make sure the service worker is enabled. All right, before we ask for the permission. So if service worker, all right, in navigator, all right, or okay, push, okay, sorry, it needs to be push manager in window. Okay, so if there is no service worker, all right, or there is no push manager, oh okay, sorry, I missed the or. There is no push manager in the window, so just alert us, don't request for the notification. So push just say push notifications are not supported in this browser. Then just return immediately. Okay. Now this is if we need to check if service worker is not, enabled in the browser, because at that point there's no reason why we should be asking for the user to give permission to push notification. Okay. Now secondly, in case the user has gone to their settings to disable push notification, so we need to also confirm that as well. So now if there is notification and then the permission, all right, says denied. Okay, we need to, I'm just, like I said, I'm not focused on aesthetics, so I'm just going with the the browser's default alert. So in yours, you feel free to beautify this as much as you like. Notification permission is let me say denied. Okay, please allow notification in browser settings. Okay, now if these two criteria are not met, then of course means the browser is okay to receive notification. All right, so let's go. The next thing is now to trigger the notification. All right, so let's await for it. Let's trigger the notification. So request permission, of course, browser complete is for me. So request permission. Now, when we request permission, we need to now make sure that the user actually gave us permission. So if the permission is not equal to granted, so because of course after we request for permission, user might decide not to give us access, so we need to confirm that as well. So let me just say notification permission is required to receive our alert, something like that. So again, you return. Oh, I missed the return here. Please, you return immediately. Okay, so it doesn't proceed down. Now, when we get down here, we believe that the user has given us permission, right? So the next thing we need to do is then to register the service worker. Okay, don't forget, in the service worker file we created, we've declared what happens when there is a push notification, and then we declare what happens when the user interacts with the notification. So now let's register the service worker. So by saying we'll say navigator, all right, dot service worker dot register. Next, we need to confirm that the registration is ready. Await navigator, alright, dot service worker dot ready. Alright, now get the information of the registration that we did. So say content encoding. Now okay, push manager dot supported content, of course browser, my text editor brought it out for me. So push manager dot supported content encodings. All right, or you then have this AE SGCM, AES GCM. Okay, it needs to be in an array here. So okay, then you get this. Now after this, we need to get the subscription. So I'll wait. Registration dot push manager, okay, dot subscribe. Okay, so subscribe. Now after registering the service worker, we then register the browser. We subscribe the browser to the event as well. So user visible only, call it true, then application server key. Now for this server key, that is where we then need the VAPI key. Okay, this is the dashboard, right? This is the dashboard. So with Inertia, you can pass data to the components. Yeah, you can pass data to the components just as you pass extra data to your view if it is, blade. So let me just say VAPI key. All right. Now you remember that when we were installing this package, we published the migration. Also, we published the config file. So what we need to do now is to, get the key from the config. So we say web push dot vapid let me also set CSRF token just for the sake. Okay, now with Inertia, these keys will be passed to the component. So when they are passed to the component, of course, in React, they'll be passed as prop rather. They'll be passed as prop to the component. So and then React, to get props, you just destructure them with a VAPI. Okay, I call the VAPI key, right? Let me check it again. VAPI key, vapid. I think vapid, not VAPI. Yeah, vapid. I call it vapid. Vapid. Okay. So vapid key. All right. The second is CSRF token. Let me check it again. Let me close this env file. CSRF token. Okay. Props. Okay, it brought it out for me. Thank you. So I'm trying to set the type because of the type scripts used in the starter package. So vapid key is a string, and CSRF token is also a string. Okay. All right. In order to then use the key, I need to, convert it to a base 64 code. I can't just use it the way it is in the env file. So let me create a function to do that conversion for me. So let me call it URL base 64 to unit array. I think unit 8. Yeah, unit 8. All right. So base 64 public key, right? So when I say P instead of this. All right. Just follow along in this case, please. Repeat. So I have 4 minus public key dot length modulus 4. Where is it? Modulus 4. Okay. Base 64 equals to public key plus, let me put this here, padding, yeah, that's replace. And when we replace it in the regular expression, okay, dots replace again. G, then we'll replace it with the slash and this. Okay, then get the raw data at top, base 64. Okay, now we return the unit 8 array. From, so we get the raw data with the structure. We'll spread it rather. Spread the raw data and get the map. This, you see that char code at 0. Okay, so okay, no, it's not unit. uint, yeah, uint. Even this too should be uint, not unit. Okay. All right. So now this function is what we use down here before we then pass the, the vapid key in it. Okay. Before we then pass the vapid key in it. So that gives us the subscription object. Now we then get some certain things from there. So let's say subscription JSON, that's to JSON. Okay, now we get this, we get the endpoints. Subscription JSON dot endpoint. Then we get the P256DH. We get this as well. So it's a subscription JSON dot keys dot p25 6 dh. Okay, then the last thing we get from the subscription is the auth. So this is subscription JSON again. Oopsies. All right. Dot keys dot auth. Okay. So now we need to confirm that we actually got them. So if there is no endpoint or there is no p25 6dh or there is no auth, then we need to throw an error. Push notification payload is incomplete. Okay, so now we've gotten everything we need. The next thing we need to do now is to save this information in the database. So push, let's say subscribe. Okay, then we declare the method. Of course, it's a post it's the post method. Then the headers. So we have content type, application slash JSON. Then we have the X CSRF token, which would be the CSRF token we passed. Should be the CSRF token we passed to the component. This one here. All right. What's here? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the issue. So what happened is that I saw this subscription on line 36. I saw it highlighted in red. So, and what happened was that this fetch API, this request I'm trying to create, I used the same name. So, which was why there was the red underline there. So I am supposed to, change the name. Let me just change it to subscription response. So now the line is gone. So yep. Okay. So after we declare the header, we need to declare the body of the request. Something is wrong somewhere. Let me see. Wait. Okay, this is not supposed to be an array. It's supposed to be an object. Yes, it's supposed to be an object. Okay. Now, so we need to pass the body of the request. So I'm going to, of course, stringify it. JSON stringify. Okay. Then we have the information we are passing to it. So in AS6, of course, if the key is the name as the endpoint, just pass it like that. Once you don't need to, put, you don't need to put column endpoint again. No, I'm going to call this a key, and then the value will be this p256dh. Okay. Then the next thing we need is the token. Okay, which is our auth here. And lastly, we need the encoding, which is then the where is it? The content encoding. Yes, this here. Okay, now that we have all this, so okay, you need to say if subscription response dot okay. If the request is successful, so you need to, so whatever you want to do after the person gives their consent to receive push notification, you do that after here. So let me just use an alert. You have subscribed to, let me say, push notification successfully. All right, else I'm going to just subscription failed, please try again later. Okay, there is no H in again. All right, so after we do this, you notice that of course I used an endpoint here that we haven't created. All right, so let's head to our route file and create this route. Okay, so for the sake of this tutorial, I won't be creating any new controller or I won't be creating any new controller. I'll just make use of what we have before. So let me just go here. I'm going to use the profile controller for it. So let me just go here and say it's a post request. So yeah, profile controller, then class, and I'm going to call this subscribe to notification. Oopsies. I'm not going to make it a named request because I'm not using it anywhere else, just that place. So subscribe. Now I need to create the method. So my editor allows me to create it from here, which will take me there. So yes, so just go into the profile controller. Now in the profile controller, of course, if you look at the body of the request we made, we requested for endpoint, key, token, and encoding. So of course you need to receive them in the controller. Okay, so so what we need to do is to get the authenticated user. Oh, one more important thing that you need to do when you want to use this package is to add a trait. There's a trait I didn't add. Okay, so if we go to the package documentation again, you can see first add the notification channels, web push, has push subscription traits to your model. So I haven't added this trait to my model, so which is what I need to do now. So as factory, I'm going to put it there and put a comma. So it needs to be imported. Yes, it has been imported. Okay, so the trait has been added. Now you can use add the subscription. If we check their if we check their documentation here, or their readme file, you would see that the same thing they did here is what we'll be doing. So let me just copy it. Okay, so we know the user already, so we just do the same thing. Now all these things that they requested for, we already have them from the request. So all we need to do is to say request endpoints, because of course we have the body endpoints. The next is the key. Okay, we have token and encoding, right? So key request token, then it's not called contents encoding hours, let's just call it encoding, right? Okay, now with this now, the migration that we run, okay, when we install the package, this is what allows it to be populated for this particular user. Okay, so which means that we'll be storing all this information in that table, so that whenever the package, we need to send push notification to this browser, all right, the package would retrieve the information it has saved for this user from there, and then attach it to, use it in its process. Okay, so what next after this? Just for the sake of notifying the user, let me just return success, or let me return, of course, response. Let me say true. Let me say message. Subscribed successfully. Okay, subscribe successfully. Now this is what you need. Okay, and the button is ready. All right, in order to confirm that, let's go into our application again. So let's see if what we did is okay or not. So let me go into the dev tools. So I'm expected to see a request here. All right, a push/subscribe endpoint here. All right, so and of course a request to give consent to the notification. Push notifications are not supported in this browser. Okay, now you can see what we receive. Push notifications are not supported in this browser. Okay, and this is a good example of what I mentioned right in the beginning, that you need SSL for push notification to work. All right, but for people who are using local hosts, PHP artisan serve to serve the application, it will work for you. But when you are trying to deploy the project, it needs SSL. Okay, now for my case now, because this part that is showing this message, all right, push notifications are not supported in this browser, is from here. Push notifications are not supported in this browser. It means that the SSL, because if you see my URL, browser push.test, I don't mean it is localhost column 8000, it will work. Okay, so in my case now, for people like me who are using Laravel head, so what you need to do is to go to your Laravel head project, your Laravel head, and enable SSL for the project. So what I need to do is to go to site. I need to locate it, browser push. All right, so once you locate the project, then secure site. Once you do secure site, this URL will change here to HTTPS. Let's wait. Okay, so you can see it's now saying unsecure site, and then the URL has now changed to HTTPS. Okay, now if I refresh this now, you would see that it has now changed. So if I should click on the button again, I won't have, let me close this. If I should click on the notification, I won't have this message anymore. I won't have it anymore. So let's go. Oh, okay, I didn't. So you can see now we got this request now, this browser prompt to allow notification. So I'm going to click on allow. So once I click on allow, we will see the request, okay, over here that this application will make to the backend to save the notification information. All right, so let's go ahead, click on allow. As you can see, so you have subscribed to push notification successfully. So which means that our button works. Our button works. Now what next? I mean, what we would need to do now is to now send notification. Our subscription works, our button works. Okay, and if I should check this now, we can see subscribed successfully. Now another thing you can also check to confirm that your push notification will work is to check the service worker. So where you need to go is the application tab. Once you go to the application tab, you would see, you can see my URL browser push.test. You can see my service worker file, and it says activated and is running. All right, this is what the push notification needs. It needs to be running. If it's not running, then please check your code again and make sure everything is correct. What we need to do now is to actually send notification to this browser. Okay, so with what I did, you can actually send to every of your users. Okay, so now let's go to the next step. I want to create a form. All right, a form that where I can type the message that I want to show on the notification. Okay, so let's go ahead. So I will still make use of this dashboard. So this is where I will still be doing the work. So after the button, I'll be creating a form. Now in the form, I'll have an input. Okay, I'll have two inputs, then one submit button. Okay, now the button will say send notification. All right, while the first input will be it will be that of the title. I'm coming, let me just, okay, we need to bind the inputs to the state in order to retrieve the value. So this is typical React, so we do this. Before I do this, so I don't confuse myself, let me create the state first. So we go over here. Okay, we say of course just a title, set title, then use state. Aside from the title, I want to also, for the second input, set message, use state. So I'm giving them like they are empty by default. The input fields are empty by default. Okay, so what next after this would be to bind the inputs, all right, to the state. Okay, then we need to add the unchanged property to it, so that as a type we get it. So e, all right, so set title, e.target.value. All right. Okay, that's fine. Then let me see, add a placeholder. Let's see, notification title. Okay, I'm very sure that the input field will not look okay, but let's see what we have first before we go into styling. I'm going to do a very minimal styling because this is not a video for styling here. So I'm having this for the message, so on change as well. Let me just copy what we have here. Okay, then this set title will be set message. Okay, then let me add a placeholder too. Let's say enter, basically notification message. All right, let's take a look at what we have. This is so bad. Let's start the form. Let's quickly just give it a very minimal form. Class name, I'm gonna give it px of 5, pb5. I give it a flex, then gap of, let's say 3. Let's see. Okay, it can be better. Let me go over the inputs. Let's give them border gray what? Let's see. Let me say 300. Border gray 300. Okay. Let's make their edges rounded. px3, py2, flex 1. Let me copy it as well and use for the second one. In fact, I'll copy everything. Okay. Let's check it out. Okay, not bad. Let me put an horizontal line here. Yeah. MT5. Okay. This just to differentiate. Okay, this is not for styling, so I mean this video is not for styling, so let me just go straight to the next. All right. So let me start the button. The type will be submit. Was on my editor. Submit. Okay. The class name. Let me see. Should I use black? Let me give it a different color. So px4, py2, bg blue 600, right? Yeah. Text white, rounded, just very basic. Okay. All right, that's fine. So now we have our form. Now we need to, add the functionality for submitting the form. So, and that means that I need to add an onSubmit event here. An handler. Okay, that will undo the form submission. Okay, so let's just say undo, or let me just say send undo send notification. Okay, now this function needs to be declared. Let me go here and just go over here. Okay, so yeah, it's a function that we need to submit the form. So of course it has to be, let me make it an async function which will take event. Now TypeScript will shout at me, so let me add a type of E. I don't want to use any, so let's make it form event. Okay, form event. I need it to be imported. Is it imported? Okay, it is imported. So form event. Alright, so and this form event will use HTML form element. Okay, alright, so now we need to prevent default, so that, because the default is that the form submission will try to reload the page, so we need to prevent that from happening. Then we need to make sure that the title and message are actually have value. So let me say message.stream, or if the title is not submitted as well, so title dot trim. So if they are not submitted, no, there's a lot. Please fill all fields or all values. Okay, alright, so we return immediately because we don't want the user to proceed. Now let's now undo the form submission itself. So const response is equal to await. I'm going to use fetch API 2, push. Let me just say I use push / subscribe here, right? Yes, okay. So let me just say push send message. Okay, so in there I'm going to have the method of post, then headers, we have the contents type, of application JSON. No, not this slash. Okay, then we have the CSRF token, from the property of the components. Okay, so then we need to put the body as well, json.stringify. Okay, and we declare the title and message. Okay, oh no, all right. So once we have that, of course, if response, or let's say message response, if message response dot okay, so let's send an alert. Now says notification has been sent to the user successfully. Okay, then we can also have set message. We need to, empty out the content of the field, as well as set title. Okay, now you return. Okay, otherwise we need to have an alert that says failed to send notification. Let's test our application. Let's see if we receive notification. Okay, but before that, not so fast, right? Not so fast. If you notice, we haven't even used the package that much. We only used it when we are subscribing. All right, but you ask me, how about the notification? So yes, now we've declared what happens in the when you submit the form. We've declared what happens when you submit the form. So now the next is the route. So we call it push send message. So I'm going to just duplicate this and change it. Just send message. Then what I need to then do is the controller as well. So I need to go to the controller and say, what do I call it? Let me call this send notification. Okay, let me call this send notification, which doesn't exist. My editor will ask me to create method. Yes, create. Thank you. Okay. All right. So now that we are here, let's validate. Title required. It is a string. So I'm just going to duplicate it for this as well. Message, of course, is a string, and let me just say maybe max of 255. But okay, so now that we have this, we've validated the request. Now we need to actually send the message. So we need to get the user again. So we get the user from the request and say notify. Now when we do notify, we then use the push message notification. Okay, so we say new push message notification, or let me even call it push message notification. So first off, before I proceed, let me even create the file. So we need to create a notification file that will undo the logic of sending the push notification. So let me create it. I'm not sure I have an alias for notification, but let me just say let me call it web push notification. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, notification file has been created. Okay, so let's call it web push notification. Okay, so I need to instantiate it, put the new keyword there. So new. Now this notification will take the title as well as the body. So of course, we validated title as well as the body message. All right, so that's all you need here. And just say return response, then success through message, or whatever you need to do after you send notification. Just notification has been sent successfully. Okay, now coming to the last thing that we need to do before we test out our functionality is to work on this notification itself. Oh, okay, I have a semicolon instead of a comma. Okay, so it's to go into the web push notification file. So we pass two things in there. We pass the title as well as the body of the message or of the notification. So what we need to then do is to declare them in the construct. So read only string title. I'm going to declare the second one too. Message. Okay, once we have this, you then go here. If we go back to the package, it tells us how we can, send the notification. So now you can see this is a sample notification file, right? In the VIA, they have web push channel, all right? But default notification file that gets created is always mail. So just change it to what? Web. So change it to what? Web push channel, right? So web push channel. Make sure it is imported. So let me confirm. Web push channel. It is imported. Great. Now the next thing we need to do after that is this. So let me just copy this. Okay, let me copy this and oh no, I'll copy the entire thing. Sorry, I'll copy the entire thing now. So because the VIA, in the default file that Laravel creates for you, there is no method to undo the VIA, right? So we need to create its own method, which will be this. Okay, which will be that, and you could even delete these ones because we don't need them. You could even delete them. All right, so now this web push message, okay, let's make sure it is imported. Let's make sure it is imported. All right, so let me see this again. Okay, that's how it is. Now I'm going to delete all these extra things because I'm not sure I need all of them. Okay, I need data. I'm going to delete all these extra ones. Now I'm going to change the TTL to 60 because you don't need your notification to come in late. So you need it to be almost immediately, right? So yes. So the title, let's make it the title of the title we actually submitted. So I'm going to change that to it. As for the icon, I'll come back to it. Now for the body, let's make it the body we sent from our form. So message. Now I don't need action. All right. So TTL, yeah, we need it as well. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, in fact, let me make it the last, but it doesn't actually matter the arrangement, but I just want it to be this way. So for data, if you remember in the service worker file, right, we have data in there and it has URL. So and then when the user clicks or interacts with the notification, the URL we declare is where we are actually sending them. All right, so that is why it is important that it is there, data. So the URL, you can then have it declared there, and maybe of course, you would have to customize this to what you need. So let's even have the URL. Let's have it here as a third parameter. So let me just say, in fact, it's getting long. Let me just break it down. Okay. Private read only string. Let me call it URL. Okay. All right. So, but in case you don't want to always pass it, you may just declare a default to say that the defaults be, what's our URL again? Okay, browser test, right? Okay, so let the URL be this. Okay, let it be that. So we then have this URL. Okay, we have that. Now for this icon, it could be an image or it could be an image or anything. So what I want to do now, I checked for an image online. And this is the URL of the image. So you could actually just check for any image. What I searched for was, let's say Laravel. I think Laravel logo was what I searched for. Yeah. So you can see it actually, I think this is the one I used. Oh, it's not. So you can just get the URL of any logo you want, but I prefer this. So I'm going to paste the entire URL in there. Okay, I'm going to paste the entire URL in there. Don't worry, if you're lost or you need the code base, I'm going to add the link to the repository in the description of this video, so you can always get the code base in there. Okay, so now we have our notification all complete. Now let's go test our work if it works well or not. All right, fingers crossed. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to, I didn't do any improvement on this form in the sense of, maybe when you click there should be a loading indicator, a progress bar or anything. So I'm going to rely on what's it called, on the network tab to know when our request gets sent. Of course, we will get an alert here. Let's just go straight. The title would be let me say new notification. And one more thing, I'm on Windows, so I usually turn off my notification here. So I usually snooze them. So okay, if you do that as well, you might not see it immediately, so just unsnooze your notifications. Okay, so new notification, let me call it hello. This is practical backend notification tutorial. Okay, let's see. Send notification. We can see the send message is going. Notification has been sent successfully, right? Now you can see, hello, this is practical backend notification tutorial. Very, very easy. Okay, let's send another one. Okay, another notification. Laravel 13 React and Inertia notification. Browser push notification. Okay, notification has been sent to the user successfully. Now you can see another notification, Laravel 13 React and Inertia push notification. So this brings us to the end of this tutorial. If you have any question, you have any difficulty, kindly drop it in the comment section. I'm always eager and ready to reply to you. Kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel for more practical and realistic tutorials like this. My name is Kazim, and thank you for watching. Bye.